and welcome, my friends. This is Danny Jovica, and you're here on the IMREAL.LIFE channel. And today we're doing an IELTS Australian Law Network review of the Victorian Small Business Commission and their commercial tenancy relief scheme, which has been extended until March 15, 2022. For those of you who don't know, I'm actually a panel mediator with the Victorian Small Business Commission, so I actually mediate these cases. And Minister Pulford has announced the link there, if you click on announced, on Saturday, that the Victorian Commercial Tenancy Relief Scheme, CTRS, which was to cease on January the 15th, will be extended until March 15, 2022. So there's an extension there for another 3 months for tenants who are in need of rent relief due to government decisions and the impact of COVID and things like that. Now there's some changes that are being announced starting from Sunday the 16th, which is only a couple of days ago. The Small Business Victoria will work with stakeholders to develop the regulations to support this announcement, as they did in previous versions, and it's expected the new regulations will be in place in a couple of weeks. And we've seen this before. The government announces that the regulations will continue, and that they're being extended until March 15. However, there's some changes, and you don't know about the changes until they actually come out. Some key features, however, that they're talking about is the eligible turnover threshold has been reduced to 10 million or less per annum. And that's a big drop. Up until now, the eligible threshold has been 50 million in turnover. And it's caused a little bit of controversy with some of the landlords, because you might have a company who has $50 million in turnover, and although those profits are down from previous years, which makes them eligible for rent relief, the landlords themselves are in a position where they're bearing the brunt of the regulations, and relief is going to companies who actually are very profitable and maybe might not need that relief so much. Despite the new regulations taking a couple of weeks before they're going to be released, once they are released, they will be retrospective, commencing the 16th of January and continuing through to March. So, again, an interesting thing. So anyone who's looking at making a claim needs to consider that the regulations might be changing somewhat compared to the last revision, which was in August last year. The policy intent of this is that the tenants who are entitled to and accessing rent relief under the CTRS regulations, and who remain eligible under the new CTRS regulations, basically, so there's no gap for them in the coverage of the scheme between the current regulations and the new ones that when they come into place. And the practical impact of this would be that their entitlement to rent relief continues unbroken, and the eviction and rent increase prohibitions remain in place. So it's important to know that the landlords at this point in time cannot evict you, or cannot evict a tenant making a claim for rent relief, and not only can they not evict, and they also can't implement rent increases that they would have under the lease. The lease might have ordinarily provided that the rent would increase, and the rent increase prohibitions are remaining in place. So the Commission will continue to provide information and free dispute resolution to tenants and landlords. So if you're a tenant and you're struggling, or if you're a landlord and your tenant's not paying and you can't reach agreement and you can't sort of figure out the complexity of the regulations, well, it's just a matter of jumping on the Victorian Small Business Commission website and filling out an application form, and that'll be allotted by a raffle type system amongst the panel of mediators, so of which I am one of them. So there's no guarantee that you're actually going to get me as the mediator, but you could have me mediating your matter if things went your way. Once the regulations are developed, the Victorian Small Business Commission is going to update the FAQs on the website and the supporting website content. They're also commencing reviewing the existing website and updating all the dates. So where it's got where it's referring to a 15th of January end, they're going to, be updating all that information. So it means no one can rely on the current content of the website as it stands for any legal purposes, so to speak. As a holding measure, a banner is going to be placed there informing people of those things. The key points that to be remembered here is landlords will not be able to lock out or evict tenants without undertaking mediation through the VSBC. So you can't evict a tenant, you can't lock the tenant out, you can't go to VCAT and initiate an application there. It has to go through the Victorian Small Business Commission. And eligible commercial landlords will continue to be eligible to access the Commercial Landlord Hardship Fund. So the Victorian government has got that hardship fund in place there for landlords who are experiencing hardship. So if you're having difficulties with paying your lease and communications with the landlord are breaking down, visit the VSB website. You can see, if you highlight over here, there's a direct link to that, and that'll bring you to the application form. And if you want to have a look at the regulations are found here. These are the ones that are yet to be amended, as indicated above. So the Premier's announcement here is commercial tenancy support is extended. So that was the link that we were looking at the top here. If you want to have a read of what what was announced by the Premier, that is the document there. And the existing COVID-19 Omnibus Emergency Measures Commercial Leases and Licensing Regulations of 2020. So for instance, if I go click find and I find the word million, you will see that 50 million is the prescribed amount back then. The prescribed amount is, that amount will be changing to 10 million now. So a maximum of 10 million in turnover. So this is the spreadsheet that we would use, that I use as a mediator to calculate rent relief. As an example here, if we put in a rent amount of $4,000 per month as an example, the including GST changes to $4,400, and there's a calculator here where you're comparing turnover pre-COVID to current. And as an example here, if your turnover in January dropped by 54.3%, that means in January the reduction in turnover is 54.3. The rent payable is 45.7, which means instead of paying $4,400, all you have to pay is $1,828, the proportional difference in your drop in turnover. The landlord has to waive 27%, so $1,085.64 is gone, forgotten, forgiven, and you don't have to pay that. And there's a deferred amount of $1,085.64. So that deferred amount, you have 24 months to pay. So here's a little calculator. You can see the formulas there, divided by 24. So the deferred amount you would then repay at $45.23 when the rent goes back to normal. So assuming that the scheme ends on the 15th of March and never gets renewed again, this figure here of 4,000 would end up being 4,000 plus 45.23 per month to include the deferred amount. So that's how it's calculated. That's the spreadsheet that I use to help people work things out in mediation. Anyone who is having difficulties with their rent, please contact the Victorian Small Business Commission. They are there to help. I am a panel mediator with them, and basically the whole service is free of charge to people who need that support and that relief. In the meantime, if you want to keep being notified of updates to CTRS as and when I get them, as a mediator, I get the information before it's released to the public, before it's in the press and things like that. So as soon as I get the information, I'll be broadcasting it and publishing it. So hit the subscribe button so you can be subscribed to this channel, and hit that little notification bell. So that bell will let you be alerted to any new videos that come out. Like, subscribe, share the video if you know anyone who might need some support in their rent relief. Thank you, and see you next time.